how we live and how much we have read. Many a time these two are looked at differently. They are looked at as though having no connection. And we tend to believe that someone who has read a lot by virtue of his or her knowledge is sure to get enlightened, is sure to get moksha. Doesn't matter how she or he lives her life. What has character got to do with enlightenment? Enlightenment is, after all, transcending good and evil, right? Enlightenment is supposed to be untouched by right and wrong, dharma and adharma. Therefore, why labor to find a connection between moral living and enlightenment? This is a question that very often arises, and especially when it comes to our own life, we tend to undermine the place of right living. We think that by having some extraordinary insight of the pure self, which once more has nothing to do with right and wrong, we get liberated. We sometimes look down at all those do's and don'ts. We look at moral codes and stipulations of virtuous life as meant for immature people, for children. And we say we are very mature people. We have gone way ahead of all these do's and don'ts. We are on a higher plane. This is how we think. This episode 19 in this series, Know the Upanishads, as a warning for all of us who tend to not see the importance of living in integrity. All the Upanishads, directly and indirectly, emphasize sterling character, noble conduct, ethical behavior. One such example of a mantra that asks us not to live in immoral ways, not to live in contradictions, is in the Kathopanishad. Let's see, therefore, the mantra that I am referring to at this point. Let's see how Lord Yama addresses this issue while speaking to Nachiketa. Here we go. We have a mantra bearing on the intimate connection between moral living and enlightenment. Dharma and moksha are intimately connected. Dharma, in fact, is a stepping stone to moksha, is the upshot of this mantra. In the very first chapter, in the second valli, the 24th mantra has this message. Na virato duscharitat. Let's take one piece of the four parts in which the message is given. Na virato duscharitat prajnanena enam apnuyat. There are multiple negatives in this sentence formation. Avirata itself means not withdrawn, and na avirata means if you are not withdrawn, you do not have any chance of gaining this wisdom. So, double negatives. If you are not withdrawn from bad conduct, you will not get the highest liberating wisdom. That means if you withdraw from wrong ways, you stand a chance of realizing the supreme truth. Let's read the whole mantra. Na virato duscharitat na shanto na samahitah na shanta manaso vapi prajnanenainam apnuyat. In this slide also, I am mainly providing the translation for one of the four qualifications mentioned in this mantra. This mantra actually mentions four disqualifications and says if you have any of these four disqualifications, you will not get self-knowledge. So it's an indirect way of saying if you have these four qualifications, all four of them, then you will have self-knowledge. So the very first one is Navirato Duscharita, connected with the fourth line, Prajnanenainam apnuyat. Not he who has not desisted from evil ways can reach this pure self through right knowledge. So not he and not desisted. Two negatives. That means one who has desisted, one who has put away all one's bad habits, gets or reaches this self. What is duscharita? This is on the plane of actions. We will see in the commentary by Shankara, where the Bhashyakara says, whatever is not allowed by Shruti and Smriti and so on, suppose one does and one goes on doing, then one does not get the liberating wisdom. So it's about doing, it's about karma. And then there is na ashanta. Please see, na is one negation, ashanta is second negation. That means if you are shanta, you stand a chance of getting enlightened. Na asamahita. That means if you are samahita, you stand a chance of getting enlightened. And the fourth also, na ashanta manasa. Na is one negation and ashanta. Not shanta but ashanta is second negation. It's like a mother was telling a boy in a house, unless you take bath and chant Gayatri mantra 108 times, you will not get breakfast. So, unless is one negation, you will not get a second negation. What it means is, my dear boy, just last month we spent lakhs of rupees doing Janevu for you. That is that sanskar, upanayana. We spent a lot of money, fed hundreds of people, and got priests to priests, and your father, gave you Gayatri mantra in your ears. Yajnopavita, the sacred thread was put upon your shoulder, and after all that, you don't do Sandhya Vandana at all. If you do not do Sandhya Vandana, no breakfast for you. In many Brahmin homes and homes of a lot of people who follow certain Vedic ways, such occasions arise. The mother or the father says, if you don't do that, you don't get it. So, na avirata, na ashanta, na asamahita, na ashanta manasa. Four factors are mentioned here. Before going to three more, the other three, let me just throw some light on what this whole matter is. On one hand, the Kathopanishad itself says, Anyatra dharmad, anyatra adharmad. Pure consciousness, which is to be known, neither belongs to the camp of right nor belongs to the camp of wrong. It doesn't belong to either box. So why is it that your daily life has to fit into the so-called virtuous life, moral life, ethical life, right life, a life of integrity, life of character? Why is it that you should live in this way, forgetting that which has no connection apparently? So we say the truth itself, yes, has no belonging. It doesn't belong to right or wrong. It's above. But to know the truth, your mind has to have a certain purity. Your mind has to have a certain state of no conflict. Then the mind gathers a certain momentum. The mind attains a certain quality of penetrating into the science of Brahma Vidya. Therefore, it's an intriguing subject, and no wonder a lot of people, especially in this Kali Yuga, are confused about this. Their extrovert tendencies, their old habits, their vasanas, and their irresponsible traits of behavior all make them put aside dharma, and they think they can take a shortcut to moksha. When they get an opportunity to advise a son or a daughter, when they get an opportunity to instruct some younger person, they are very scholarly with regard to what is to be done and what is not to be done. But when it comes to their own personal life, they tend to throw these norms to the winds. Therefore, all the masters, all the great spiritual teachers have laid emphasis on right living. Of course, this right living, let me make a comment before going ahead, is not necessarily defined in a very gross term that every Monday you must go to the Shiva temple. Every Tuesday or Saturday, don't fail to visit the Hanuman temple. If you miss going there, moksha is denied to you. is going to the temple for a particular action on that plane, which has certain value, is certainly not overemphasized. But what is said is, be aware of your own state of mind. Leave alone deceiving others. Leave alone taking others for a ride. Are you living in self-deception? Are you living like a split personality? Do you have a division, a fissure in your character? Do you think so? Let us put aside the books of Dharma. Let us put aside many women and men who are there to advise the society. Let us ask, are you true to your own conscience? In fact, all these books outside, Dharma Shastras, and saints and sages and spiritual masters and mystics and so on, they are secondary. They play their role, but when they play their role, all that happens is actually you begin to listen to your own inner voice. You will discover that the books and the saints are actually talking about what you yourself want in the bottom of your heart. Therefore, summarily, it is an illusion, it is a delusion, it's a confusion that we make two compartments. We tend to make two watertight compartments of living rightly and understanding or studying the higher wisdom. So, one thing, therefore, is recognize, notice what actions generate in you conflict. Maybe not while doing it. You kill an innocent person, you fire or dismiss somebody who has not committed any mistake. That time probably you felt, yeah, I don't care. I'm going to throw this man out. I'm going to shoot this woman down, and so on. But a while later, your own conscience says, what did I do? Like the golden rule of ethics says, do unto others what you want others to do to you. Would you like it if for no fault of yours you are dismissed? Would you like it if for no fault of hers your daughter is shot dead by somebody who came on a motorbike and fired at her while she was taking a morning walk? You will cry, you will get so shocked. What happened to her? Why did you kill my daughter? And such things. Therefore, scriptures and holy people help us listen to our inner voice. So much of immorality, so much of wrong living takes place because one is not attentive to one's own antardhvani. Therefore, Yama says here, unless you listen to your inner voice and in alignment with it, you let go of evil ways, you will not get this right knowledge. As Radha Krishnan, Sarvepalli Radha Krishnan translates this mantra, I have given just one part in this slide. Not he who has not desisted from evil ways can reach this self in bracket because the mantra only uses a pronoun, enam, prajnanena enam. Prajnanena means through right knowledge. Enam means this. This means what? This unconditioned self, this ever free self, this Atma, Yesha Atma, Apahatapatma, says Brahadarnik Upanishad. This pure self in you, not the I to which you refer on a daily basis. There is a pure self in you which is apahata papma, which is untouched by sin. And when you know this pure self to be yourself, you become free. Therefore, not he who has not desisted can reach. That means who? Rather, he who has desisted or she who has withdrawn from evil ways can reach this Brahmajnana, can reach this Atma through Atmajnana. Now, referring to the other three, na ashantaha, na asamahitaha, na ashantamanasaha. Here is the slide. This also is taken from Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan's translation. He wrote a book called The Principal Upanishads, where some 18 Upanishads have been translated, going to every mantra. It's a very wonderful book, though we may not give 100 out of 100 marks to that book. Some places the translation seems to be done in a hurry. That's all right. But broadly speaking, Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan's principal Upanishads is something everyone should possess. As you know, he was the second president of the Republic of India. The first one was Babu Rajendra Prasad. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan was a professor, was an academician. He taught philosophy in many colleges and universities. For a few years, he was the vice chancellor of Banaras Hindu University. So he translates Ashanta, not who is not tranquil. That means only one who is tranquil gets to know Brahman. Let's see what Shankara says. First of all, the first one which we covered in the previous slide, Duscharitat Virataha. Na duscharitat avirataha na apnoti. Rather, na duscharitat avirataha apnoti. That means duscharitat na virataha na apnoti. But to put it in simpler sentence, duscharitat virataha eva apnoti. One who has, through intelligence, not merely through some birthday resolution, will cannot go very far. One has to intelligently understand, I cannot live in this way and yet gain the liberating insight. I have to let go. Tyage naike amritattva manashu. So Shankara gives duscharita as pratishiddha karma. What is pratishiddha, prohibited work? Shruti, smriti, avihita, papa karma. Sinful action, which is avihita. Vihita means prescribed. Avihita means not prescribed, or what is more, prohibited. Pratishiddha in Shruti and Smriti. And if someone does not step back from it and yet says, oh, I have studied Sanskrit for 12 years and another 12 years I studied all the Upanishads. What do you think about me? And so on. Sorry. So it is dushkarma, that is disqualification. Coming to the second word, ashantaha, Acharya Shankara, specifically connects it to someone who is not withdrawn from the indriya laulya, the restlessness of sense organs. It's like once I saw a comic strip. Somebody is reading a book on non-violence, ahimsa. The first frame of the comic strip shows the person is excited about that book. Oh, what a wonderful book on ahimsa. The second frame of the comic strip, which has three frames, shows a mosquito coming and sitting upon the table desk at which he is studying. And the third frame shows with that book of non-violence, he hits that mosquito to kill it. So one lives in so much of domain of urges. Hold back, hold back your senses, hold back your karmendriyas. No wonder Swami Chinmayananji said, not to do what you feel like doing is freedom. Ordinarily, people think, if I can do whatever I want to do, whatever I feel like doing, that's freedom. That is so in certain context up to some extent. But in the spiritual journey of yours, you have some old urge and want to do that, but through viveka, through certain self-questioning, you say, no, I will let go of pleasure or satisfaction or some kind of ego trip. I don't want that. And then Indriya laulyat uparataha atmajnanam vindati. Then there is this expression in this original Sanskrit, samahitaha is qualified, asamahitaha disqualified, and asamahitaha na apnoti will not get self-knowledge is the statement. Who is asamahitaha? Here it's not specifically attachment to pleasures, but it is the problem of mind wandering a lot. Therefore, a qualified student trains herself to concentrate better. A qualified student, suppose she is studying Vedanta, it applies everywhere, but in the example of Vedanta, and suppose in 5 or 7 minutes she gets a bit sleepy, and then she just puts aside the Vedanta book and sleeps off. Why not stay firm for a little more time? Maybe the sleepiness is a passing wave. Let this wave go. But those who have not trained themselves actually don't want that wave to go, because a sleepy wave of sleepiness comes to you, no? You start visualizing, oh, how nice it is. I'm getting sleep and I just curl up and sleep. Wow, it will be so good. So you rather visualize the bliss of sleep than visualize the happiness of higher wisdom. So either sleepiness, or you remember there is a special television show, or you remember, oh, I haven't talked to my friend for a long time. Let me make a call. Some idea, some distraction makes you close that Upanishad, Vedanta book within 6 or 7 minutes. Then you don't have concentration. As a young friend of mine in Bangalore who gives motivational lectures says, take up a task and stay with it for 50 minutes. Here's a pattern to follow. He talks on tips to success. Identify major tasks, especially those which require more than 10 or 15 minutes. Tasks A1, A2, A3. Take up A1. 50 minutes, don't move here and there. Then he says, take a 10 minutes break. Then again, next 50 minutes, be focused. True. All of us have to train ourselves to do things with that kind of involvement, concentrated mind. And then lastly, na shanta manaso vapi pradnanena apnat. So earlier the word shanta came, now shanta manasa. That is where many people wonder, is this not a repetition? Radha Krishnan says, While for Shanta, he said tranquil. For Shanta Manasa, he says, whose mind is not composed. That's where, we would not give 100 out of 100 to Radha Krishnan. Probably he gives a footnote on this, drawing from Shankara Bhashya. That if he has done that, that's fine. Otherwise, it would be falling short of doing justice. But anyway, let's take recourse to Shankara Bhashya. This Shanta Manasa, which is a qualification, Ashanta Manasa is a disqualification. Shanta Manasa means, Shankara says this beautifully. Sometimes people have a fair amount of control over their sense organs. They are able to concentrate also, but they have one problem. When they meditate, they start thinking of when will I get the fruit of meditation? When will I get enlightened? I have been practicing all this for such a long time. Should I change the book? Should I change the guru? Should I change my place? Should I go to Himalayas? Wait, have patience. They don't have patience, especially in the context of Phalasakti. Phalasakti, what Sri Krishna talks of in Karma Yoga, in Gita, comes here too. Shankaracharya says, Samahita Chittopi. Though you may have a high degree of concentration, Samadhana Phalartitvat. Since you want the phala of your mind becoming utterly calm, quiet, and so on, therefore you are Ashanta Manasa. Or there's another possibility, Vyaprata Chitta. Though you have so many qualifications, your mind is always wondering about something or the other. Vyapara. Vyapara means activity. Yeah, you have controlled the senses. You remember there are two gulab jamuns in the kitchen, and you not only say to yourself, no, I won't go now, but say, I will never take it. Even after these spiritual practices, this japa tapa, how about in the evening? How about tomorrow morning? Never. And you decide and you don't touch also. That's wonderful. Similarly, you concentrate on work, but a part of your mind goes on thinking about various other topics. Vyaprita chitta. Special context is phala. I have all this self-control. Why have I not got the result? In this way, this mantra gives four qualifications in the language of pointing out disqualifications. Have control over your actions. Do not slip into actions that fill you with remorse later. Have calmness, especially with regard to sense pleasures. Thirdly, have concentration, single pointed attention. And fourthly, just do not be worried about results. When you stop asking for results, the results will come. That is the wonderful thing about spirituality or any matter for you. Do your work well, do your work sincerely. For fruits will come. In this way, pradnanena enam atmanam apnuya is the teaching given. Therefore, summarily, right living, living where there is a certain moral excellence, certain childlike innocence, there is certain awareness of what leads to what leads to peace, what leads to agitation, what leads to security, unconditioned security, what leads to insecurity, more because of your attachment to certain things and so on. Therefore, when Dhritarashtra asks Vidura, who is wise, who is unwise, one of the first shlokas, there are 100 shlokas answering that question, but Vidura, in one of the earliest shlokas, with respect to who is wise, says, Nishevate prashastani ninditani na sevate. anastikah ashraddhadanah etat pandita lakshanam. So focusing just on the first half of the sloka, nishevate means goes for, opts for. Nishevate prasasthani. One opts for such actions, such ways of living, which are truly praiseworthy. And ninditani na sevate. One keeps away from controversial, suspicious, and ninditani, actions which are worthy of censure, worthy of criticism. Keep away from them. Do not be unduly curious how it would be if I do this. Someone who never drank alcohol was curious, and he was living alone somewhere in some town, having got a good job and good salary. Just went into a wine shop and asked for something and then tried out. First, he did not like it, but over a length of time, unnecessary curiosity made him not just enjoy some good wine, as many people do and stop where they have to. This fellow got addicted to it. Likewise, curiosity, something or the other, can make one get into nindita karma, nindya karma. Prashastani kuryat, nindyani karmani na kuryat. So Dharma Shastra say it. Nishevate prashastani, ninditani na sevate, anastika ashraddhadana. Shraddhadana anastika. Shraddhadana is one who has faith in the higher teachings of the religion, and anastika, that is, who is not an astika, that means who is a believer in this universal wisdom of the spiritual science. Om Namah Shivaya.